In this lecture, we are going to fix some bugs that have been reported by students. The first one we want to look at is in our email validation. So go over to utilities.php and then look for valid image function. Alright, so we have the check email function here. We pass in the data, which will be the post array, and then we set the key to be email. Right here, we are sanitizing the value that is passed in by the user. But then if you notice, I'm only passing in the key here, which means essentially what I'm saying is sanitize the string email instead of the input which was supplied by the user. So what we want to do is actually sanitize the post of key. Then we don't really need to store this to a variable. It's going to get rid of that. That's all we need to do here to ensure that we are actually sanitizing the email that the user entered instead of the key. The next bug that we want to fix actually is in the update profile functionality. So I'm going to log in. Once you log in and then go to my profile, click on edit profile. So we're going to make a change here, change the username to demos, and then click on update profile. Okay, so when I click on update profile again, nothing happens, but let me change the name again to demo. Click on update profile, it tells me nothing happened. So this is actually a bug. The reason is because when we click on update profile here, we process the script and then we use the sweet alert JavaScript library to return this message. The page doesn't refresh, so it still persists the old value. So when I submit again, it tells me nothing happened. What we can do is actually find a way to ensure that the page is refreshed whenever we click on this update profile button. Right, so we'll go over to the code and then we're going to open past profile. We are looking for the update part. Here we have update profile btn. Okay, so let's scroll down to where we display the error messages and the success messages, which is right here, line 116 to line 122. Right here on line 116, if we check that one row was actually inserted into the database, we then create a variable result, and that variable contains a JavaScript function, which is the sweet alert function, to display the alert to let the user know that the profile was updated successfully. So what we want to do is inside of this function, we are passing it this value. Okay, what I'm going to do is actually just cut it out and then pass an object to this function. Right, so I'm going to pass an object to it and then paste that back in. I'm going to call this the title, and then this I'm going to call the text, and then this is going to be the type of message. Right, so when we pass an object, we need to specify the key and then the value. Immediately after the object, we put a comma, and then we're going to create an anonymous function to help us refresh the page. So we're going to say function. Okay, so we have an anonymous function here. Inside of this function, you can actually just bring this function to a new line. Right, so inside of this function, what we want to do is very simple. We just want to refresh the page. So we're going to say window.location.replace. The value for this will be window. So we want to replace it with location.href, which is the current URL. Alright, so that's all we need to do here. We can end this with a semicolon. And then we are going to have to do the same thing for the S part. Okay, so right here, I'm going to take this out and then pass in the object. And then let me just immediately pass in the function. Alright, then move this function to a new line. Paste this back in here. First one is going to be the title, the value, nothing happened. The next one will be the text. Then the value, you have not made any changes. Okay, so we can also pass in a third parameter or just leave it like this. Right, so here inside of this function, I'm going to do essentially the same thing. So I'm going to grab this and just paste it here. Okay, so let's see if everything works as intended. Let's go over to the browser now. Edit profile, change this to demo, updated. Change it to demos, updated. So now it is working correctly. All right, so if you come across any bug in the system, do let me know by commenting in the Q&A session. Feel free to always ask questions where you are not clear, and then I'll always be there to respond to you.